It started with the sound of a tray crashing to the floor. Then silence. Hundreds of eyes turned toward the center of the cafeteria, where a girl stood, frozen, hurt, and humiliated. That girl was Amara. Just 2 weeks earlier, her world had felt full of hope. Her family had moved from Atlanta to a quiet town where her mom said life would be simpler, safer. Amara wanted to believe that. She was used to being the new girl, the outsider, trying to fit into unfamiliar hallways filled with familiar faces. But this time, something felt different, colder. Westbridge High was spotless and modern, the kind of place that looked good on a brochure. But behind the smiles and school spirit posters, there were invisible lines. Who sat where, who talked to whom, and who didn't belong. Amara noticed it on her first day. The stares that lingered a bit too long. The forced smiles. The whispers that stopped when she turned around. Still, she tried to keep her head high. Every morning, she'd braid her thick curls, pull on her denim jacket, the one her mom had worn at her age, and walk through those doors with quiet determination. She wasn't looking for trouble. All she wanted was to blend in, to get through the day without being noticed. During lunch, she always sat at the same corner table by the vending machines. It was her little space, away from the noise, away from the stairs. She'd pull out her sketchbook and draw. The sunlight through the cafeteria windows, the trees outside, the reflections on the floor. Drawing calmed her. It reminded her that beauty still existed, even in the quietest moments. Her mom always told her, people might judge you before they know you. Don't let it make you small. Amara tried to hold on to those words. But lately, the whispers had started growing sharper. She'd hear giggles when she walked by. Words like weird, different, and think she's better than us slipped through the air like poison. She tried to ignore them. She told herself it would pass. She didn't know that by the next lunch period, those whispers would turn into something far worse. Something that would change everything. The cafeteria was alive with noise, trays clattering, sneakers squeaking, laughter echoing off the tiled walls. It was Friday, which meant pizza day, and the smell of melted cheese mixed with the sharp scent of cleaning supplies. Amara sat at her usual spot near the back, earbuds in, her sketchbook open to a half-finished drawing of the maple trees outside. She wasn't trying to hide. She just liked the quiet. But even from her corner, she could feel the unspoken rules of the room, who belonged and who didn't. At the center table sat Jake Miller, the school's golden boy. Tall, broad-shouldered, always surrounded by people who laughed at every joke he made. He was used to being in control, and when someone didn't fit into his world, he noticed. Jake's gaze drifted toward Amara. There's our mystery girl again, he said to his friends, smirking. Does she ever talk to anyone? One of the boys chuckled. No, man. She just sits there sketching, probably drawing us. Jake leaned back, pretending to study her. She thinks she's too good to talk to people, or what? The comment got a round of laughter. But Jake wasn't joking anymore. Something about Amara's quiet confidence, the way she ignored him completely, got under his skin. He wasn't used to being ignored. He stood up, grabbing his tray. Let's say hi. His friends followed, half curious, half excited for whatever scene he was about to cause. As they crossed the cafeteria, the noise around them dimmed a little, conversations pausing. Amara looked up only when a shadow fell across her table. Jake's smile was sharp. Hey, new girl. She blinked, taking out one earbud. Hi. That's it, he said. Just hi. You've been here 2 weeks and haven't said a word to anyone. Amara frowned slightly. I just like to keep to myself. Jake tilted his head. Oh, so you're one of those too good for everyone types? No, she said quietly. I just don't like crowds. His friend snickered. Maybe she thinks she's an artist or something. Jake's grin faded. You could at least act friendly. We're trying to help you fit in. Before Amara could respond, Jake reached out and flipped her sketchbook closed with a loud slap. The pencil rolled off the table and hit the floor. Amara's breath caught. She bent down to grab it, but Jake nudged the sketchbook with his shoe, sending it sliding across the floor. Go on, he said mockingly. Pick it up. The laughter that followed wasn't loud, but it was enough to sting. Around them, a few students started watching, whispering. Amara's voice was barely a whisper. Please don't. Jake leaned closer, his tone cruel. Or what? She looked up at him, eyes wide and scared. And for a moment, he saw something in her expression that made him step back. But pride wouldn't let him stop. He pushed the sketchbook again with his foot. And then, as Amara reached for it, his hand came down hard, a sudden slap that sent her reeling backward, her tray crashing to the floor. The cafeteria fell silent. Everett turned to them, and in that silence, something inside Amara changed. For a long, heavy second, no one moved. The sound of the slap still hung in the air, sharp and echoing, followed by the faint drip of spilled soda hitting the floor. Amara stood there frozen, her cheek burning red, her breath caught in her throat. Every muscle in her body screamed to do something, but years of being taught to stay calm kept her still. Across from her, Jake laughed. It wasn't a nervous laugh. It was cruel, proud, the kind that said he knew he could get away with anything. His friends joined in, trying to mask their shock with weak chuckles. A few students nearby started filming, phones rising like spotlights in a cruel stage show. Guess she's not so quiet anymore, Jake sneered. Amara blinked hard, her eyes watering. Her chest rose and fell as she fought the panic clawing its way up her throat. Her hand was shaking, not from fear, not entirely, but from anger. The kind that comes when you realize someone thinks they can break you just because they can. Her mother's voice echoed in her head again. You can't control what they do, baby, but you can decide who you are in the moment. She took one slow breath, then another. Jake stepped closer, grinning. What's wrong? You gonna cry? Go ahead. Make it dramatic. A small circle had formed around them now. Kids whispering, some whispering stop, others too afraid to speak. Amara's gaze lifted to meet his, calm, cold, steady. You shouldn't have done that, she said softly. Jake frowned. What? I said you shouldn't have done that. He barked a laugh. Oh yeah? And what are you gonna? He never finished the sentence. In one quick, fluid motion, Amara moved. Her body reacted before her mind did. She caught his wrist mid-gesture, turned sharply on her heel, and pulled his arm forward while sweeping his leg from underneath him. The move was clean, fast, practiced. Jake's weight shifted, and before he realized what was happening, he hit the floor hard. His tray clattered beside him, the entire cafeteria gasping in unison. For a second, all anyone could hear was Jake groaning and the buzz of fluorescent lights. Amara stood over him, her eyes glistening but fierce. Her voice was low, controlled. I asked you to stop. Then she bent down, picked up her sketchbook from the floor, and walked away through the stunned silence. Each step heavy with something new. Not victory, not revenge. Power. And for the first time since she arrived at Westbridge, no one dared laugh. The cafeteria exploded into chaos the moment Jake hit the floor. Trays clattered, voices rose, and a dozen students rushed forward with their phones out, capturing every angle of what just happened. Some were shouting, others laughing in disbelief, but most just stood frozen, trying to make sense of the sight of the school's toughest guy flat on his back while the quiet new girl walked away with her head high. Jake's friends scrambled to help him up, their faces pale. Bro, she dropped you, one of them stammered. Jake shoved his hand away, his jaw tight with rage and humiliation. He looked around and saw people recording, his image, his pride, shattering with every tap of a camera screen. Delete that, he yelled, but no one listened. His voice cracked with panic. Across the room, Amara stopped at the cafeteria doors, clutching her sketchbook against her chest. Her whole body trembled now that the adrenaline was wearing off. She hadn't meant to throw him that hard. She hadn't even thought. It just happened. The memory of her uncle teaching her how to redirect force flashed through her mind. You don't hit first, he'd said. You defend yourself when there's no other way. Teachers burst in seconds later, drawn by the noise. What's going on here? Shouted Mr. Lewis, the history teacher. Then he saw Jake on the ground, red-faced, and Amara standing a few feet away, shaking. She attacked me, Jake blurted out, his voice louder than ever. She flipped me for no reason. But before anyone could react, another voice spoke up. That's not true, said a girl from the crowd. He hit her first. Then another student chimed in. Yeah, we saw it. She told him to stop. Within moments, the story unfolded in a chorus of voices. Witnesses defending Amara, showing their phones, replaying the video. Mr. Lewis's expression hardened. "Both of you, to the principal's office." Now, the walk down the hallway was painfully quiet. Amara's palms were slick with sweat. Jake glared at her, whispering, "You're done here." She didn't reply. When they reached the office, Principal Harris looked at them both, then at the security footage already queued on his screen. In the silent playback, Jake's slap landed again, and Amara's move followed, clean, defensive, undeniable. The principal leaned back, exhaling slowly. "Mr. Miller," he said, voice sharp, "you're suspended effective immediately." Jake stared in disbelief. "What about her?" Principal Harris turned to Amara. She defended herself. Amara lowered her eyes, tears threatening but unshed. For the first time, someone had said it out loud. She wasn't wrong for standing up for herself. Outside the office window, the autumn wind rustled the trees, calm returning after the storm. A week later, the cafeteria felt different. The same chatter, the same lunch smells, but the air had shifted. People still whispered when Amara walked by, but this time, the tone wasn't mocking. It was respect, curiosity, even guilt. She sat at her usual corner table, sketchbook open, pencil gliding across the page. The bruises on her knuckles had faded, though every so often she still felt a faint ache, a quiet reminder of that day. Her drawing showed sunlight breaking through a cracked window. Underneath it, she wrote, "Strength doesn't always roar." Jake never returned. Rumor said he'd transferred to a different school after his suspension. A few of his friends had come up to her since then, awkwardly mumbling apologies. Others just avoided her completely. Amara didn't hold grudges. She didn't need to. What surprised her most was how the teachers and students had rallied afterward. The principal made an announcement about bullying, about respect and boundaries. A counselor asked Amara if she wanted to talk, but she just shook her head. Talking wasn't what she needed. Peace was. At home, her mother hugged her every day a little longer than usual. "You stood up for yourself, baby," she'd said softly. "That's all I ever wanted you to know how to do." Amara still replayed that day sometimes. The fear, the silence, the slap. But now, instead of pain, she felt something steadier inside her. Not pride exactly, more like calm. She had faced cruelty and chosen strength without becoming cruel herself. As a final bell rang that Friday, she closed her sketchbook, looked out the cafeteria window, and smiled. For the first time since arriving at Westbridge, she finally felt like she belonged. Not because she fought back, but because she refused to stay small. If you were in Amara's place, what would you have done? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more true stories like this.